Merci d'accueillir sur scène les General Managers d'UberEATS, Stéphane Ficaggia et Guido Gabrielli, et le journaliste tech de CNN, Samuel Burke.
Bonjour. Should we do it in French or in English?
As you prefer.
I think my French is amazing, but I'm engaged to a Belgian, and whenever I speak French, he always says, hein, qu'est-ce que tu as dit? Je comprends pas. So I'll stick in English for now. So I've been thinking about talking to you guys, part of UberEATS, for the past few weeks, and I think what's interesting is that you guys are a startup within a startup, no? Is that the way to think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks a lot, Sam, for having us today, and Maddie as well. It's great to be here just after a few months of our launch of UberEATS in France. So to come back to your question, we're here today to talk about UberEATS. But let's take a step back a bit and think about Uber. Uber is a technology company that has been created in 2010 by Travis Kalanick and Gary Camp. And it's mostly known, and after its success, for being a mobile app that allows you, in one click, to get a ride in less than a few minutes. But if you think about the mission and the vision that we give ourselves when we think about what we do, we want to make transportation as reliable as running water. And if you look at this sentence, there is very little that we say just about people transportation. In general, and funnily enough, in the last 2 years, one of the biggest bets of Uber was thinking about in which other sector we could have applied our technology, expertise, and operational excellence in order to bring value. And food was definitely one of the most interesting candidates. First of all, the interaction between food and technology is super interesting. Technology is changing the way people interact, behave toward food, consume food. One fun data or number that I like to think about is that on Instagram, one out of 2 millennials posted at least one photo of a meal.
Only 1 out of 2?
Yeah.
It seems like all my friends are posting pictures with food.
True. But
more than with humans sometimes.
Yeah. But if you think about it, like, we're talking about hundreds of millions of photos of food. And like, if you say that to our parents, they're probably a bit surprised about that. So technology with food, it's interesting. The second thing, food is a huge sector. People eat more than they need transport. You can assume that.
Yep.
So
I'm from America, trust me, I know.
So if you want to apply the vision that we're saying before to food, basically our mission today is to make eating well effortless for anyone, anytime, anywhere.
So are you basically just duplicating what you've already learned at Uber in terms of transportation and applying that to food? Is that half the battle at least?
We're leveraging what we have. We think about
Leveraging.
synergies. And it's a different thing. What we do in food today, we started from doing food delivery. So in France today, we commit on delivering anytime, anywhere where we operate, your favorite meals from the best restaurants and in less than 30 minutes. So in order to do that, there is, of course, a platform that you need to create with different actors. There's the users, there's the restaurant, and there is the courier. So we leverage our technology to do that, but it's a different problem. And just to finish, in France today, we are 1,500 partners in terms of restaurants already. 2 cities, Paris, most recently launched Lyon. Stéphane can talk more about that. And it's a success. And the way we measure it is because if you think about our weekly users, 2/3 of the users that we have every week are actually coming back. So French people are liking our product and are hungry for more.
And how did you guys end up at Uber? It's always interesting to know the background story. I'll start with you, Stéphane.
Yeah. So before I did engineering school, so I guess I do not have the same courses as Guido. And then following to that, so I worked for Air France doing some yield management and then 2 years in finance before joining Uber. Back in the time, it was less than 3 years ago. It was still a small startup launching in France, so it was a bit of a risk.
And now it's one of the biggest startups in the world.
Exactly. So
Yeah, my
let's say
parents
that
were
it
worried.
grew.
So, and how did you end up there?
Yeah, it was, again, it was similar. I mean, I did more business studies. I had a little of law in Italy and then started business in France. And then after a period in consulting, I I joined the company because a friend worked there, and
Also, when it was a small company.
it was just 1 month before Stefan, or a couple of months before.
So what did your family say when you're joining this small startup?
Yeah, it was. They didn't understand exactly what consulting was at the time. So when I decided to join Uber, they was worried I was becoming a taxi driver at the time. So like, it was.
There goes all that money we spent on your education.
But no, jokes apart, this is it's been a great experience, and like so far, I think right now they understand.
And right now, UberEATS is available in Paris, and you're expanding, which you're going to announce right now.
So I think that, yes, UberEATS is a big success so far. We are super happy with providing new services to our French customers in Paris. So that was launched 10 months ago, and in Lyon, that was launched 2 months ago.
So just 2 cities.
Yeah, 2 cities right now, and we are really super happy with the traction, and overall with, let's say, the adoption of our product. As Guido was saying, we have a lot of users that are returning. That means that people stay on our platform, and we have been seeing some massive traction also on the restaurant side. And I'm super happy to announce that today we are planning to launch 5 more cities in France in 2017. Thanks to the big success we have been seeing. Today we can also say that we are the leader in terms of downloads. So I think that more than 400K downloads on UberEATS. The application was launched in March 2016 only, so big success so far. And we really want to offer this service to more and more people across France.
And can you say what cities, or not quite yet?
Yeah, let's say that it's not done yet in terms of choice, but
you are
overall biggest city in France.
You're expanding, that's for sure.
We are expanding in 5 cities, yes.
What is it a plus or is it a negative to be associated with Uber in France? We've seen the images all around the world of some of the resistance, let's say, to the Uber product. So what are the positives and what are the negatives of this obvious association?
Yeah, so I think that to take a step back, Uber is a tech company, and it's really part of our key strengths and assets to have a strong, let's say, tech, let's say, even leadership across the globe. We have been thinking a lot about the user experience, about the app, and it's really one of our key strengths right now. And when you
because you're relying on the technology
we
that's
are
already built. You're not building from scratch.
Exactly. We have a technology, and it's something that is really part of our DNA. We want to be reliable. We want to have a customized user experience. We want to have the best service and the best support. And it's the same kind of philosophy we were having with UberEATS, so the classic Uber app, and we are having now with UberEATS, and tomorrow maybe with something else. And basically, it's a huge strength. We are sharing this, let's say, user base and trust us, that trust our service, our support, our excellence, our operational excellence, and it's definitely something that is a huge strength for us.
But there is that resistance. I mean, we saw the protests on CNN, we reported on it. So what do you do with some of that negative? It's hard to quantify how small that is. Is it just a few unions? Is it just, a few people who might be resistant to technology? So you have some negatives with the Uber brand in France. So how do you maneuver with that? So
I think that we have to just take a look and see that even if we see some news and something like that, overall our story in France is a massive success. So I guess that
based on the numbers.
Yeah, based on the number of and growth on the user base we have, the number of partners we have on the road. So today it's a massive success. People use our app. A partner can be on the road. We have restaurant online on UberEATS. Everyone is happy, and of course, I think I'm French, so I can say that. We used to complain, so a few people complain, and the world can always be better.
The
we need
stereotype
to think about
is
it.
True.
Yes. So we have to think about how we can improve our experience and our service for our partners. But overall, I think we are in a good spot right now.
And Guido, part of your job managing here in Paris is actually going out and creating the relationships one by one with the restaurants that you're partnering with. So do you ever meet resistance because of that perception in the media, or do you find that it doesn't really permeate to those levels when you're creating those business deals?
As I said before, our restaurant base is increasing very fast. If I would do like this speech like 1 month ago, we would be like in a different number of what I said before, and it's growing and growing. And what we see is that normally the fact that we come with the expertise and the brand of Uber is something, it's a plus. Because the knowledge of logistics, the quality of the service that we provide, the operational excellence. These are things that people like.
And they know that people, their users or their potential users are familiar with the brand in all likelihood.
And also, like, one thing that is interesting, I think, speaking about restaurants on the platform, because, again, it's a 3-part platform. And if you think about the restaurants, the most logic part about the interest to be in a food delivery platform is the revenues, because they're increased. However, we like to think a bit more than that. How can we create a real partnership with them? What are the kind of information that we can provide to a restaurant about the quality of their food, how to set up a menu, what kind of innovation it can bring to some of the recipes and maybe test them in some of the locations. So they like, and we like to speak to them about this, and they kind of react in a positive way when we approach it not just as a increase revenues partner, but a full partner in order to make their business go to the next level.
So what other type of data can you provide a restaurant with besides just the 1 stars, 2 star, 5 star average? Are you able to tell them more about their client base than they may not know with just the people walking into the restaurant?
There is a lot of things that you could do. I think one of the most interesting one is items that goes together. People that order items. Like, if you look at a menu in a restaurant, it could be super confusing. Like, we all see, like, sometimes maybe some type of Asian cuisine types, also Italian cuisine types, like huge menu with a lot of choice and like difficulty of being guided there. Creating a menu is a way of guiding choice. So which items should go together in which menu and how people like it, it's something that we can provide as an information.
Yeah, and I guess you can also add to that we have some kind of pricing expertise, so in the long run, we might be able to optimize the price of restaurants, to optimize also their profitability. It's something that is super important for our partners. And I guess that also in terms of data, and I think that we are going to deep dive a bit more on that, is that for restaurants, you have a lot of period where you don't have any business, so you are basically paying real estate, you are paying staff, just that is not working currently, and we want to optimize, let's say, this free time to help them just grow their business and their profitability. So overall, this utilization thing is going to be more and more important moving forward.
And how much of a cut does UberEATS take from the restaurant for each order?
So basically today we are taking something that is between 25 and 30% of a meal for restaurants, but we are taking the delivery cost.
So 25 to 30%, but you have the delivery cost is included. And that it's interesting because in London, UberEATS, along with Deliveroo, which I assume that that's your main competitor, Deliveroo?
Yeah, it's one of our competitors in France, yeah.
It's interesting.
It depends on the market.
Yeah.
We're in Tokyo, we're in Los Angeles. Like
different
competitors, it's a worldwide company.
No, but it's interesting because in London, when I go out for dinner, I see oftentimes that maybe the restaurant where there are only a few of us in the restaurant, and the restaurant is now just a line of Deliveroo and UberEATS people coming in and out picking up the meal. So it really is, I mean, do you market that as extra revenue stream opportunity for restaurants? And what type of interesting stats do you get from restaurants doing that? Are they leaning now more toward, majority revenue from the delivery services?
Two interesting examples, I think, that brings very well. First of all, we are one of the only platforms that is open on weekends until 1 o'clock in the morning. So
not 1 a.m.
Not every restaurant it's open at that time. However, some restaurants are testing to just keep basic operation in order to provide delivery on those times and optimize their production.
So closing the seating part of the restaurant, but keeping your service available.
It's one thing. The other thing, like some restaurants, there's this burger place called Starving Joe, and they have a kitchen where they produce their bread, basically, which is separated from the restaurant. And they decided to test that kitchen as being a delivery point because they have the product, they could do that. And so that's optimizing existing space beyond just additional opening hours, but on existing opening hours.
So I want to open it up to some of the questions now. One we have from the audience, somebody's asking, don't you think that food delivery is killing the social relations between people? I mean, there's a lot of concern that people have about this, and I've just been at the Consumer Electronics Show. I mean, some of the stuff I was interacting with a robot, and I realized it's so much easier to interact with a robot because they don't have an attitude, they don't speak back to you. So maybe some nights it would be better to come home to a robot than your loved one. So do you guys think about that instead of people going out and socializing, that's of course the stereotype that we have of the French, sitting at the cafe, talking to each other, Is Uber killing that great tradition?
I guess that we are great user of UberEATS, and to be honest, I don't feel like we are killing our social relations. It's more a question of having choice. When you are, for example, alone on a Sunday night or in your flat, and you just want to choose between, I don't know, maybe not eating or just cooking something or ordering on UberEATS, you have choice. And I think that choice matters. So I guess that food delivery, I will never see my friends saying, oh, you know what, we are going to stay in our home on, I don't know, on Skype and order UberEATS. No, we are going to meet at a restaurant and we are going to have fun, of course. So I guess it's more a question of choice and what are the opportunities and the service we can bring to eaters rather than killing social relations.
And I suppose some people are also ordering at their office. I know we do that sometimes. So my question then being, what is the breakup? Do you know what the difference is between people ordering at home and people ordering at offices? I mean, I'm assuming it's more people at home based on my own experience, but is there that section?
We actually look at it in more detail, like the times of the day, the different usage that we have. In the end, what it's important is, again, Stefan was mentioning that before, it's customization. What are the different types of situation where you can order food? And there is a very interesting thought that sometimes I have, which is the day that ordering food at your place is going to be healthier, more accessible, and cheaper than some of the shopping that you do. There is a lot of habits that could start changing. For example, what about wastage? Maybe wastage has a positive impact on that.
You mean in terms of people who are buying food but not using it?
Exactly.
That's interesting because that's very Uber of you to say, in the sense that a lot of people at Uber, I'm talking about the car side now, they really are serious about a world where people don't own cars, especially in places like Paris, like London, where maybe some people, especially on the outside, are owning cars. They envision a world where we're just using Uber and its competitors and never actually having to own a car and taking more cars off the road by sharing cars. That's kind of very Uber mindset.
It's the evolution, it's the vision. Maybe there is a different way we're going to have different type of kitchens, different types of tools in the house to use and cook our food. It's all about like thinking about not today, but what is the opportunity of today to bring the vision for tomorrow.
I don't know if I'm misreading the French. It says, are you going after the fork? Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was a French expression.
La fourchette, I guess.
Je parle pas très bien.
Yeah, I think so. I would guess so.
You want to go for it, or is it just me?
Do you want to answer to that? I'm not quite sure. It could be two things. It could be the logo, because there is a fork on our logo, and it could be just are we actually thinking about going into other business that is not just the food delivery, and maybe aggregating and providing just information about restaurants and reserving places for restaurants, providing some added value of this kind. And it's open for thoughts. Again, it's depending on what we call them eaters, the users that use the app, want. And again, we want to be a complementary actor of the evolution of the food tech scene.
It's interesting. You mentioned Starving Joe's earlier, which I guess I'll have to try while I'm still in Paris. But somebody has a criticism here. They say Starving Joe's quality decreased quite a bit since they started increasing the volume through UberEATS. So in that type of situation, you guys are working with the restaurants. Yeah. So if you, I assume after this conference, you're going to call Starving Joe's. So what do you tell somebody when you have a criticism like that?
I guess that it's, I don't know if it's a joke or not, but it's super fun. I guess that we are a big user of Starving Joe's, so I think that we have quite a good personal benchmark of the quality of these burgers.
Super good.
But if that type, I mean, if this person is serious, let's just pretend.
Overall, what we are going to check is not some anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
We have some data, and we want to take decision based on data. And what we are going to be able to check is what is going to be the impact on the quality. Is that the transportation? Is that the delivery? Is that going to be the temperature? Is that going to be the quality? Is that going to be the quantity? We are going to check the figures, and I think that I can remind that the figures are still super, super good and almost increasing for Starving Joe. So maybe we have to deep dive a bit in that. But overall, this is some kind of quality line, and we have to understand if customers are more and more happy or not about that.
Yeah, so I think it's all about sharing that data.
Yeah, exactly.
Not anecdotal, but maybe the
Exactly.
larger set of data. We have just a few seconds left, but I think this is an interesting question from the audience. Somebody just asked, soon autonomous bikes. We know that Uber is moving toward autonomous cars. At CNN, we've actually already been inside one of the autonomous cars in Philadelphia that's already up and running, though still has a driver just in case, but I think they'll change that as soon as possible. So UberEATS is not through cars, mainly it's through bikes. So any plans for autonomous bikes?
So I guess that we will be interested in autonomous bike only when they can be able to deliver to the doorstep. That means just climbing the stairs. So I'm not sure that it's going to be available soon. But overall, I think it's a great concept, and I know that a few companies are working on it. And it's something that we are closely looking at, of course, but interesting.
Guys, congratulations on your announcement, 5 more cities, and your work of the startup inside the startup. Really great to talk with you guys.
Thanks a lot, Sam. Thanks.